Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Glad to be back.
So today we're looking at the news from the Faroe Islands.
That's right.
We've got two great sources today,
Yeah, Kringvart Faroe in .fo.
and we're going to try and focus on the really recent stuff.
Yeah, just from yesterday and today.
So let's jump right in.
Sounds good.
One of the first things that caught my eye was this story about a fine for setting off flares at a football match.
Oh, yeah. What was that all about?
It sounds pretty crazy, right?
Yeah.
Apparently some guy at Coors got a little too excited during the game and ended up setting off flares right there on the pitch.
Wow.
I mean, I get that Faroe's football fans are passionate, but that seems a bit much.
Yeah, it's definitely a safety hazard.
And they ended up fining him a pretty hefty sum.
Really?
Yeah. It makes you wonder, though, are the fines enough to deter this kind of behavior?
That's a good question. It's a tough balance between letting fans show their enthusiasm and ensuring everyone's safety.
Right. It's not like we want to stifle their passion, but, safety has to come first.
Absolutely.
Okay, so moving on from fiery football fans, let's talk about something a little more wholesome.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
There's news about a brand new research center opening up that's dedicated entirely to children and youth.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, it seems like a really significant investment in the future of the Faroe Islands.
For sure, investing in the younger generation is always a good idea.
You know me, I'm really interested to see what kind of research they'll be focusing on at this center.
Yeah, I mean, given your passion for education, it'll be interesting to see if they delve into things like innovative teaching methods or programs specifically designed for Faroe's youth.
Exactly. I'm always curious about how different cultures approach education and what we can learn from each other.
Right, there's always something new to discover.
Okay, speaking of potentially rough seas, there's a bit of a political storm brewing in the Joe Eveldi party.
Oh, right, the leadership change?
Yeah, Honey Hoydal, he's been the leader for over 2 decades. He just stepped down.
Wow, that's a long time.
And now Sirius Stenberg, she's been elected as the new leader.
Interesting. So what does this mean for the party?
Oh, Joe Eveldi, they're one of the largest parties in the Faroe Islands. And historically, they've been big proponents of social welfare and Faroe's autonomy.
Right.
So with Stenberg at the helm, it's going to be fascinating to see how their political agenda evolves.
Yeah, especially since she won by a pretty narrow margin, it suggests there might be some internal divisions within the party.
Exactly. And you know me, I'm always curious about how these leadership changes impact a party's stance on environmental issues.
Of course, sustainability is always top of mind for you.
Well, it's a crucial issue for everyone. And it'll be interesting to see how Stenberg's leadership influences future policies related to resource management and environmental protection in the Faroe Islands.
Absolutely. It's definitely something to keep an eye on.
Now, here's something I didn't see coming. 6 mayors across the islands have announced that they're stepping down.
Wait, 6 mayors?
Yeah, all at once.
That's quite a shakeup.
It makes you wonder what's going on behind the scenes.
Right. Is it a coordinated move, just a coincidence? The articles don't really delve into their reasons.
It's a mystery.
And with the upcoming local elections right around the corner, this could really change the political landscape.
Oh, absolutely. It'll be interesting to see who steps up to fill those vacancies and how this impacts the already intense competition in the elections.
Yeah, it seems like we're at a bit of a turning point in Faroe's politics.
Definitely lots of change and uncertainty in the air.
Speaking of uncertainty, let's talk about another hot topic, fishing quotas for pair trawlers.
Ah, yes. That's always a contentious issue.
It seems there's a lot of debate about the impact of pair trawling on fish stocks.
Yes, some folks argue that they have a minimal impact, while others are calling for stricter regulations.
It's that classic struggle between economic interests and environmental concerns.
And it's playing out all over the world, really.
Yeah, it's a global challenge.
But it's especially interesting to see how the Faroe Islands, with its strong fishing tradition, is grappling with this issue.
Right, because their economy is so heavily reliant on fishing, any changes to fishing practices could have significant repercussions.
It's a delicate balancing act for sure.
Okay, let's shift gears for a moment and talk about something a bit lighter.
Sounds good. My ears could use a break from all this political drama.
Well, then you'll be happy to hear that there's a buzz about a new album by a Faroes musician called Brimvit.
Brimvit.
Yeah, critics are raving about it.
What's so special about it?
Apparently, the lyrics are really introspective and the melodies are super captivating.
Sounds intriguing. What kind of themes does the music explore?
It seems to touch on things like longing reflection, the human experience, that sort of thing.
It never ceases to amaze me how vibrant the art scene is in the Faroe Islands.
Yeah, they've got so much talent there.
From music to visual arts, there's this palpable creative energy that just seems to permeate the culture.
I wonder what it is about the Faroe Islands that fosters such artistic expression.
Right, it's a fascinating question.
Maybe it's the dramatic landscapes, the close-knit communities, the rich history.
Or maybe it's those long, dark winters that give people plenty of time for introspection and creativity.
That's a possibility too.
But speaking of pushing boundaries, did you hear about this new ferry route?
What ferry route?
It's going to connect the Faroe Islands directly to, wait for it, Malta.
Malta.
Yeah, Malta.
That's quite a distance.
It's crazy, right? I mean, geographically speaking, they're worlds apart.
So what's the purpose of this route?
It seems like it's primarily aimed at boosting tourism.
Oh, so people can experience the dramatic landscapes of the Faroe Islands and then soak up some Mediterranean sun in Malta all in one trip.
Exactly, it's a pretty unique travel package.
I'd be curious to hear from someone who actually takes that trip what a contrast of cultures that would be.
Speaking of unique discoveries, there's been a possible sighting of a rare bird in Suðuroy.
Oh, really? What kind of bird?
It's called the clintrimus.
I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, it's not commonly found in the Faroe Islands, so the bird watchers are all aflutter.
I bet they are. It's always exciting to spot a rare species.
It just goes to show that even in a place as seemingly remote as the Faroe Islands, you can still find these hidden gems of nature.
Speaking of gems, it seems the Faroe economy is doing quite well.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah, the Faroe Banki is predicting positive results for the year, driven by strong performances in key industries like fishing and tourism.
That's encouraging news, especially in today's uncertain global economic landscape.
Definitely, it speaks to the resilience of the Faroes economy and their ability to adapt to changing market conditions.
But you know what really warms my heart?
What's that?
All the stories about everyday kindness and community spirit in the Faroe Islands.
Oh, yeah, those are the best.
Like, there's this group of volunteers in Torshavn who organized a special event for seniors.
That's so sweet.
They provided companionship entertainment, a delicious meal, the whole works.
It's those little gestures that make a big difference.
They really do. It's a reminder of the importance of human connection, especially for those who might feel isolated or overlooked.
And it speaks to that strong sense of community that exists in the Faroe Islands.
Absolutely. It makes you wonder what we can all do in our own communities to foster that same spirit of generosity and support.
That's a great question to ponder. We could all use a little more kindness in our lives.
On that note, let's take a quick break.
Sounds good. We'll be right back with more news from the Faroe Islands.
Welcome back, everyone. It seems like we've uncovered a whole treasure trove of stories from the Faroe Islands. We have, and they just keep getting more interesting. It's amazing how these seemingly small local events can give us a glimpse into these larger cultural and political trends.
Exactly. It's like peering through a window into the heart of Faroese society.
Speaking of peering into things, one story that really caught my attention was about this individual who was fined 25,000 kroner for sharing the name of a murder victim online.
Oh, wow. That's a hefty fine.
It is, and it definitely highlights the importance of respecting privacy, especially in such a sensitive situation.
Right. Like it makes you think about the ethical boundaries of information sharing in the digital age.
For sure, it's a tricky balance. Like, we want to uphold freedom of speech, but at the same time, we have to protect the privacy and dignity of individuals, especially in cases like this.
Absolutely. And this case really underscores that need for responsible online behavior.
Okay, so moving on from that somewhat heavy topic, let's talk about something a bit more uplifting.
Okay, I'm all ears.
So the government is taking steps to address mental health challenges among young people, particularly in the Østerkommuner region.
That's really good to hear. Mental health is so important, especially for young people.
It is, and it seems like they're really taking it seriously. The articles highlighted this statistic that 1 in 3 children in that region report feeling isolated after school hours, that's pretty concerning.
Yeah, it is. It's heartbreaking to think about kids feeling that way.
So to combat this, the government is planning to create more social and recreational opportunities for young people. Things like, after-school programs, sports clubs, community events, stuff like that.
That's a great approach. Giving kids a chance to connect with each other and engage in positive activities can make a huge difference.
Right, and it's fantastic to see the government recognizing the importance of mental well-being and actually taking concrete steps to address it.
Absolutely. That's a really positive example. Hopefully other regions will follow suit.
I hope so too. Okay, so shifting gears a bit, let's talk about someone who's making a real difference in their community.
Okay, I love these kind of stories.
So the town of Vagar recently honored a local resident named Peter Skeel Nolsol with the Golden Badge of Honor.
Wow, the Golden Badge of Honor. That's quite an accomplishment. What did he do to earn such a prestigious award?
Well, it sounds like he's dedicated decades to serving his community. He's organized countless cultural events, supported local businesses, and just consistently gone above and beyond to help others.
He sounds like an amazing person, a true pillar of the community.
He does, and it's heartwarming to see people like him being recognized for their selflessness and their dedication to making their town a better place.
It's inspiring. It reminds us that we all have the power to make a difference in our own communities.
That's right. No act of kindness is too small.
Exactly. And speaking of heroic acts, we can't forget about the captain of the Brimmel tugboat, the one who rescued that stranded trawler. He was also honored for his bravery and quick thinking.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So we've got community heroes on land and at sea.
It seems like heroism takes many forms in the Faroe Islands.
It does. It's like this spirit of selflessness and courage is woven into the fabric of their society.
And, maybe it's something about the challenging environment they live in, like adversity often breeds resilience and a strong sense of community.
That's a good point. It's often when we're faced with challenges that we see the best of humanity shine through.
So true. Okay, shifting gears back to cultural preservation for a moment. We touched on this earlier, but there's this ongoing campaign encouraging people to use the Faroese language more frequently.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. It's so important to preserve languages and cultural traditions.
It is language is so much more than just words. It's a connection to our history, our identity, our way of life.
Right, and it's inspiring to see the Faroese people so dedicated to keeping their language alive.
Absolutely. It's a testament to their strong sense of cultural pride.
It makes you wonder, are there similar movements happening in other parts of the world?
Oh, I'm sure there are people all over the globe are fighting to preserve their languages and cultures in the face of globalization.
It's a beautiful thing, this human need to connect with our roots.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this part of our deep dive.
We have from stories of online ethics to heartwarming tales of community heroes and the importance of cultural preservation.
The Faroe Islands are full of surprises.
They are, and we're not done yet. There's still more to uncover.
So let's take a moment to catch our breath, and then we'll delve into the final chapter of our Faroes News adventure.
Okay, so we're back for the final leg of our deep dive into Faroes news.
And we've got some really interesting stories to wrap things up with.
It's amazing how much we've learned about the Faroe Islands just from these past couple of days of news.
Yeah, it's a reminder that even in a place that might seem small or remote, there's always something fascinating happening.
Exactly. So, what do we got for our last few headlines?
Well, let's start with a story that touches on something we discussed earlier, the individual who was fined for sharing the murder victim's name online.
Right. That case really raised some important questions about online ethics and responsibility.
Yeah, and I think it's something we all need to be mindful of, especially as the lines between the digital world and the real world continue to blur.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that actions online have real-world consequences.
Exactly. And it'll be interesting to see how this case might influence future legal interpretations and online behavior in the Faroe Islands.
Okay, so shifting gears a bit, let's talk about something a little more heartwarming.
Sounds good. I'm all for some good news.
Well, remember, Peter Skeel Nolsey, the resident from Vagar, who received the Golden Badge of Honor,
Oh, yeah, the community hero.
he's a great example of how one person can make a real difference in their town.
It's inspiring to see people like him who are so dedicated to serving others.
And it's not just him. Remember the captain of the Brimmel tugboat who
Yeah.
rescued the stranded trawler?
Of course, another hero.
It's like heroism takes on so many forms in the Faroe Islands.
It does, and I think it speaks to this deep sense of community and shared responsibility that exists there.
Absolutely. It's like they all look out for each other.
And, it makes you wonder, what can we learn from the Faroe Islands in terms of fostering that same spirit of community and support in our own lives?
That's a great question. It's something we should all be striving for.
For sure. Okay, so as we wrap up our deep dive today, I'm struck by the resilience and adaptability of the Faroes people.
Me too. They face some unique challenges living on these remote islands in the North Atlantic.
But they've managed to create this vibrant and thriving society with a strong sense of culture and tradition.
And with all the changes happening right now, the new political leadership, the upcoming local elections, it's clear that the Faroe Islands are at a pivotal moment.
It'll be fascinating to see what the future holds for them.
It will. And until our next deep dive, I encourage everyone to stay curious and keep exploring the world with open minds and hearts. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.